everyone, my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I am showing you my best comics and manga of 2022. So this is a video that I like to do every year, and I actually have a top 10 list for comics and manga. So everything is just sort of interspersed together based on what was my least favorite, although still number 10, up to my favorite comic or manga series of the year. So starting at number 10, I have Can't Stop Cursing You Volume 2 by Kensuke Koba. This is a series that I absolutely love, but it is at number 10 because I only read Volume 2 this year. I read Volume 1 last year. I think it did end up on this list last year as well, but I need more. My bookstore doesn't have the next one in the series yet, but I definitely need to do it. This is a series that is like paranormal murder mystery sort of stuff. We are following a character who is a curse breaker, and because of that, each book has a new curse. Like somebody has made a pact with a curse god and is killing people through the curse. And so it is very paranormal, bloody and gory, but I love the almost tongue-in-cheek humor of it and the fact that they are going and solving a case. Like I love the way that they're doing that, and so I need more in this series. I'm really enjoying it. At number 9, I have Falling Drowning Volume 1 by Yuko Inari. This is another one that I really need to continue on with the series because I read this first volume as an e-arc, fell in love with it. 5 out of 5 stars. This is following a character who looks like she's basically just going to be in some sort of love triangle, but she has amnesia, so she has this like best friend that I think has feelings for her, but then there's this new boy in school who she might also remember from her past, but she doesn't actually remember him because of the amnesia thing, and I think he has feelings for her as well. So it's not just like a shoujo love triangle story, like we have that aspect of it as well, and I'm so curious to see why. Like, what is the thing that happened before that caused this? Why are these boys being so secretive about it? So it is a shoujo story that looks like it's going to have romance, but it also has that sort of amnesia element, the mystery element, and I'm just absolutely loving it so far. Then at spot number 8, I have Chew Volume 1 Taster's Choice by John Layman. So this is a book that I had seen recommended by Ashley from Bookish Realm, and I ended up getting it, I think, on Comixology, so it was something that I borrowed from Amazon, Kindle Unlimited, Comixology, that kind of thing. I absolutely loved this first volume. It is so weird. Like, I had a hard time figuring out what genre to put this in because basically we follow our main character who is Detective Chu, C-H-U, and he has this like ability to taste things or eat things and like know where it came from. So it says in the book that like the only thing he can eat without getting these like feelings and pictures in his head are beets, which is just so weird. But like there's a part in the story where he ends up having like tasted a soup that I think has a drop of blood in it from the cook because they had cut their hand, and he realizes the cook is like a serial killer because like he could see that, and it's just so interesting. He ends up joining this, like, I think it's the FDA, but it's like for not the same stuff that we would think the FDA is for, because this is a sort of like weird parallel world where it is in the United States, but all chicken has been banned after a bird flu. And so I don't know where else we're gonna go with it, but there was a mystery in book number 1. Some of the graphics are a little bit graphic, bloody and gory and everything like that, but I absolutely loved it. I don't necessarily think it's a horror comic because it didn't seem as horrific as it probably could be, but I really enjoyed it and I want to read more in this series. Coming in at number 7, I read the first 3 issues of Wynd by James Tynion IV. This is a very interesting one because it is sort of like a fantasy world. We're following our main character of Wynd, who actually has magic, but it's in a world where like the kingdom has banned magic. So he is trying to hide his powers and people are trying to crack down on magic, and like there's this whole little commentary on stuff like that. It is also very LGBTQ, which I loved. I wasn't expecting that, but I love when that kind of stuff is just put into the story. And where I left them is like trying to not get caught because of magic stuff, so I need to continue with this one as well because I absolutely loved it. It has a very fun art style. I want to say out of the books that I've read from James Tinian IV, this one feels the most young adult, whereas some of the other ones I've read have been more adult and horror-ish, but it was very, very fun to read and I need to continue. Moving into number 6, I have Fables, Volume 1, Legends in Exile by Bill Willingham. This actually was a present from Ashley at Bookish Realm, so thank you so much for that. I absolutely love this one. This is an older series, and I think a lot of people have probably at least seen this or heard of it. There are tons of volumes in this series, so I'm very, very far behind, but I love this one so much that I definitely need to continue. I loved the fact that the actual storytelling and like the art style reminds me of like the Sunday comics. Like it's a very older sort of art style, but it fits this. It fits the more sort of mystery noir aspect of this story. We're following characters who are fairy tale characters who've been kicked out of their land. They're now living like in New York City, but they have to be very discreet about it. So like this guy is the big bad wolf, this is Snow White, and things have started to happen in this story. It starts off with the fact that Snow White's sister, Rose Red, might have been murdered in her apartment, and the big bad wolf is sort of a detective trying to figure out what's going on with that. And I love the twist of the fairy tale characters and the fact that it is sort of a mystery noir sort of thing. I definitely need to read more in this series. Moving into number 5, I read the first 6 volumes of A Condition Called Love by Megumi Morino. Absolutely loved all of them. 5 out of 5 stars for all of the volumes I've read so far in this series. This is a shoujo romance series where it's basically about a girl who helps out a boy one day, and the very next day at school he's like, hey, do you want to go out with me? And she is not sure she believes in love, but she ends up accepting this relationship on sort of a trial basis to see if she can develop those kind of feelings. And as we read the story, I personally think it's very, very cute, even though there are some real problems and real feelings and real character personality traits that are in this. So it's not just a like happy shoujo story, but I really, really enjoy the sort of aspect of them coming together and trying to figure out if they can have a relationship when somebody really believes in love and falls in love very easily and somebody else doesn't believe in love at all. I am just really enjoying this. The art style is super cute, and I know that there's more in this series as well, so I definitely need to continue in this series because I've only read the first 6 volumes, and it looks like they're supposed to be publishing volume 12 in Japan this year, so it looks like it might still be ongoing, but I've absolutely enjoyed it. Moving into number 4, I have the first 4 volumes of Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. Yes, this is the first year I have read Heartstopper, mostly because the TV show came out and I was curious about the source material. I read these on Webtoon, but I do think I want to own them eventually because they are so good, so adorable, so easy to read. The first couple volumes are very quick and happy and relationship building sort of stuff, and then the 3rd and 4th volume especially do get into harder topics with mental illness and depression and eating disorders as well, so it is something to be aware of. I'm curious to see how they're going to adapt that in the show since the show is getting a 2nd season, but I really loved how the story has dealt with the relationship between the characters and the friendships between the other characters and these now more heavy problems that have come up. So yeah, I've really, really enjoyed it, and everybody who says that they love this series, I concur 100%. Coming in at number 3, I read the first 4 volumes of Hat Atelier, hopefully I'm saying that correctly, by Kamome Shirahama. This is one that I have as ebooks, but I do eventually want to get physical books because I only have the first 4 as ebooks and I devoured them. Read them one after the other. I love this one so much. The art style is so cute, but basically we're following this girl who really, really wants to have magic, but in the world that she is in, you sort of have to be born with magic. But then something happens and she gets taken under the wing of like a wizard or a magician. I can't remember what they're called in this world. And she's like an apprentice to him, and he has other little apprentice girls, and magic and hijinks ensue. But then there's also a more shady side of like people that want to get her because she might know something, and I'm so curious where the story is going to go as well. But I love the magic aspect of it. I love the storytelling. I love the almost found family friendship aspect with the girls, and I've just really loved everything about this. The art style is so well done, so cute for the story, and so yes, I need to continue with this one as well. Moving into spot number 2, I have the first 3 volumes, which are basically all the volumes of For Goodness Sake by Kaylin Smith. So I actually did talk about volume 1, I think, in my best of 2021. So the newest ones actually are volume 2 and then volume 3. I finished the series. Absolutely love this one, like so much. Kaylin Smith is one of my favorite comic book illustrators and authors because she does a lot of like writing and illustrating her own comic graphic novel stuff. And this one follows 2 characters. One is Rain Waters, who is like a hippie in a school bus, and the other is Thatcher. I don't remember his last name, you know, whatever. But he is cursed to be like a demon, and like the worse he is, the more demon-y he is, and she's trying to then make him better. She wants to see if she can solve the demon curse by making him a nice person, and I absolutely love this one. The art style is gorgeous, and I like the storyline and how they sort of solve everything as well. I actually do have the nice hardcover omnibus edition that just came in. I funded it on Kickstarter. It came in at December, I think, something like that. And I'm super curious to then reread it with that because I think that one has an extended epilogue, and I need more of these characters in my lives as much as possible. And then finally, we are at number 1. My favorite series of comic or manga for the year is Sweat and Soap by Kintetsu Yamada. So I actually read volumes 5 through 11 this year, and so that's the ones I'm mostly going to talk about now. So we have volume 5, volume 6, volume 7, volume 8, volume 9, volume 10, and volume 11. So this is a series that, again, I think I talked about as one of my top series last year as well. Like, I absolutely loved it when I started it last year. Like, I read the first 4 volumes last year, and I ended up finishing it this year, volumes 5 through 11. This is like the perfect romance series, like even out of normal books as well. Like, I absolutely love the fact that we have 2 adult characters in this series. They do meet because they work together. They do meet because of a slightly weird aspect of him thinking that she smells amazing because she has like an excessive sweating problem, and her being like, hey, I don't like the way that I sweat. And it is a little bit weird how that came about, but the fact that they're both adults and we get to see them have a relationship and work through those problems and move in together and meet their families and eventually get married, like the whole aspect of this, of them actually having a relationship and us being able to see the relationship, is one of my favorite things. Like, I wish more books had this. Like, I love romances, and I love the fact that like we get a happily ever after or a happy for now sort of thing in a romance where it's like, oh, they're together and we know that they're happy. But the fact that we got to see so much more of their love story in this manga because of the fact that we got 11 volumes of it, and we got to see from the day that they met to starting a relationship, to being in a relationship, to working over some of the hurdles, to getting married. Like, I just absolutely love it so much. It was so heartfelt, so heartwarming. The characters are, like I said, adults that work through their problems, and I just can't talk about how much I love this series enough. Like, it is so good. And so that is it. All of the top 10 comics and manga series that I read in 2022. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more videos. I do have videos coming out on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I will see you then. Bye!